Marvel Animation is back with a new series that I've been waiting a long time to finally see. And now that I have all 10 episodes, I'm here to give you my review. So let's jump into the review of the new series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new series, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, coming to Disney Plus, all 10 episodes, January 29th. I checked them all out. There's so much to talk about with this one. And truly, I really have been waiting for this one for a long time because a couple of years ago, might have been 2 years ago, at San Diego Comic-Con, at the Marvel Animation panel, they showed us some artwork of this as well as X-Men 97. And of course, of the two, I was very excited for X-Men 97 because that's my childhood. But I was the most optimistic for this one because the styling of the art and animation was new. And plus, it's because of where we were kind of originating this origin story with Spider-Man, which we've seen Spider-Man time and time again. I was just kind of really curious about, like, what was this one going to be? But yeah, when they started to show us characters, and then when they truly showed us like the slate of all the characters at D23, I just was thinking about the endless possibilities of what this could be. But yeah, now that I've seen it, I gotta say, listen, I truly had a fun time with this one. I have a lot of thoughts in terms of me really getting into gear with this, but I gotta say, once I was sort of locked in, I'll tell you exactly what episode that was. I enjoyed this one. Now, it is Spider-Man, and I do want to mention that the Sony rights still very much comes into play with this. So it really was about, how they were going to be able to work some of the characters, who in and who's not. And I gotta say that, like, they definitely pulled out a lot more than I was expecting here. But yeah, Sony rights is still very much involved here with that. And then when it comes down to like Marvel's animation, I think this is truly unlike anything that we've seen to date right now. Because yeah, when it comes to Spider-Man, and when it comes to animation, period, I think when you talk about amongst the best right now, I mean, the Spider-Verse trilogy is really the bar. And so that measure of, what we get with that and our familiarity with that in Spider-Man, this one's kind of like, well, I know it's not that, but you can't help but to think like, yeah, that's like the cream of the crop there. This one doesn't look as top tier as that. But let me tell you why this one's fun. Because it really pulls this animation right out of the comic books, right off of each script page, and puts it on your screen, and obviously truly modernizing it. So all you big comic book lovers, in terms of reading that comic and seeing that brought to life in animation, they took that, almost one for one it, and then updated it, modernized it, in terms of the animation. So like, there's such a great appreciation for that. But there's also just tons of Easter eggs and whatnot, because it is deep and very heavy on a comic book lore. But this is it. Again, so much more to talk about with this. I want to talk about the cast. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, is played by Hudson Thimes. May Parker is Kari Walgren. Just right there alone, two phenomenal voice actors. But here's where it really gets interesting. First of all, Zeno Ramos said he's always going to get a check. He's Harry Osborn. Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is in Marvel's bag so crazy right now that anywhere in any mention of Daredevil, he's going to be involved. But the big one for me here is, I feel, without a doubt, and hopefully well awarded as the actor of the year, Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn. He is fantastic. He is so good. So good. This man, he just continues to outdo himself from project to project to project. Coleman is a national treasure. Him as Norman Osborn from each scene is just a treat to listen to. He embodies this character to the point that I'm starting to wonder about the possibilities of him being live action because it just makes sense. But with Spider-Man, he is balancing life in school. He already exists in a world where the Avengers already exist. And with him, he is, he's trying to figure out school, he's trying to figure out life, but then he also inherits these powers, and then he gets out there on the streets, and there's a bunch of villains that are being powered up on the street level, and he, as Spider-Man, is doing what he does. I don't want to give too much away about other characters' sort of association with him, but Spider-Man definitely has Team Spider-Man, and you'll see. A character that I need to mention really quickly is Nico. Nico, who's played by Grace Song. Nico is a name that, in case you might have forgotten, Nico comes from Disney's Runaways, which was on Hulu. So I will say that Nico is sort of filling in that position of, what we mostly are accustomed to Mary J playing. So it's a different dynamic, but we also know Nico, if you know from the Runaways, also has a story of her own. So it is very interesting on that note here. Listen, there's some gender swaps, there's some race swaps and all that other stuff. Some people may or may not be used to, but nonetheless, it's all pretty damn cool. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it's all cool. And in fact, you dig deep enough in the comics, you'll see that actually this is nothing new at all. Now, one thing I got to say, and I really, really want to spoil this, but I'm not, is I love that there are theme songs attached to characters. And the fact that these theme songs, both from MCU projects or even Disney Plus projects or even Netflix Disney projects, the fact that they are in this made me so happy. I have so much more to talk about this statement in a future review, but oh my god, when I heard a certain character's theme, which is one of my favorite themes in all of Marvel projects, I was so happy. So understand that while this story sort of exists in its own space, its own sort of timeline, it does have connections, it does have its its ultimate universe, but mentions, nods, and connections to other properties that you have seen, including the MCU events that you are aware of there, things on Disney Plus that you are aware of there, and even some slight connections and things that happen in the Netflix Disney stuff. So it does one or less sort of connects, but also just sort of pays nods to it. So you'll know. You when you hear certain things, you're gonna be like, I know exactly what's going on here and whatnot. So if I had to place this anywhere, I gotta say it's somewhere after Civil War, but again, it's still in its own universe. So anyway, Spider-Man in this, very loose with his identity because he's still trying to figure it out. He does have a team around him, but again, it is very much a balance of life and school, where there's villains on the street being powered up, which is a threat, obviously, to New York, and who better else to save New York than Spider-Man. Now, of the episodes, I absolutely loved episode 6, and then episode 9 is fantastic, and then truly, and that means all pun intended, the finale really brings this season full circle, to the point that it just makes so much sense where this started and where it ends, and it's just well written material here. And to kind of talk about some of the other things I thought was really cool, talking about Harry, who's again voiced by Zeno Robinson. He's an influencer. He's a pretty boy. So seeing this side of Harry is really, really dope. Nico, as again you may know from Runaways, who also goes by Sister Grimm. Again, a different love interest per se of where we are typically accustomed to. Mary J fills in the slot, but as the leader of the Runaways and being next to Spider-Man, I mean, it just makes things so much more interesting. Really thinking about the possibilities of what's next, Voice work as I mentioned, so good. Animation. Now, it did take me a little minute to get used to, because it is a good combo of like old school cartoons and comics, but they truly modernize it, and it's just truly off a comic book strip. Just be patient. It's a little different in the beginning. I think the first episode I was kind of like, I don't know, but then the third one I was like, yeah, I like it. And then I also love how they handled the characters, because there's a little bit of old school, a little bit of new school. Again, leaning deep into the comic book lore and aesthetic, but also giving you things that some folks who may just be being acclimated to Marvel via the MCU and Disney Plus material, a little bit of that as well too. It's very grounded. It's very solid action in terms of animation. There's a lot of black people in it, so I just throw that out there because I love it. I think that, Nico and Harry and Peter, I love the dynamic between them. They're the homies. So I'm down with it. It's so cool. And then again, with the world already being established with the Avengers, it just cuts out a lot of the backstory in terms of what all is happening in New York and really focusing on the origin story of Spider-Man himself. I have got to mention, do yourself justice by listening to this with surround sound. There's huge benefits of it. I have a nice setup, so you do get to hear things in the background swishing around you. It is definitely the experience you want in terms of watching this. And then in terms of the toning, listen, this is for mature audiences. It's not quite for kids, not quite for adults. Very happy medium there. There's definitely some things where you're kind of like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. So yeah, very much for mature audiences with this one. There's so much more I can talk about this, especially with some of the stuff that's came out on social media. But I think for sure, this is one you want to check out. I think if you have any hesitations, I think by the third episode is when you should fully be confident that this is a series you want to check out. And it's a lot of fun. Great voice acting work, good storytelling, endless possibilities going forward. And then there's Spider-Man. Who doesn't like Spider-Man? So like now we got more Spider-Man content along with some other characters. As I mentioned, Charlie Cox's Daredevil, which is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. And so many more. So many more. And I'm telling you, there's Easter eggs, references, and nods in every corner. Every single corner. If it's not something in the background, if it's not something that's said, keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be so much good material for folks really breaking that all down for you. And they got a tall task, because again, from every scene there is something. And I just love that we exist in a time where we can have all that, even with the limitation of the Sony rights, which is obviously why we probably don't get somebody like Mary J or Black Cat or anything of that sort. I just think that they really did show you that there's so much more to work with when it comes to Spider-Man than just the same old typical paths that they've taken. So without a doubt, you want to check out your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, coming to Disney Plus January 29th. Folks, jump in the comments once you do. Check this out. Let me know your thoughts, your excitement. What things did you peep out, even in the trailers? Let me know some of those Easter eggs you have been made aware of. And as always, stick around for more reviews and content here real soon. Appreciate you watching, folks.